the brand becomes your personality. Coke, I would say, was the biggest and the best experience that I actually have. And if you have a healthy lifestyle, is it then the sugar which is to be blamed? I don't think so. The carbonation doesn't really hurt you. It is more about how much are you consuming and what is your lifestyle. The reason people started leaving sugarcane juice because it was more about the way that it was actually served. Aloha is more about flavors that you've never experienced before. Aloha is about lower calories and lower sugar. Today I am thirsty, I want a pudina masala. Today I'm probably having a gin and I want a watermelon lime. Or I want something to pair it with my pasta. And if you maintain a healthy lifestyle, I think you can have soft drinks for the next 200 years.
Coca-Cola still dominates the Indian market. The Indian consumer loves them. Why?
Bacardi was more about having a good time. Like it was all about friendship, bonding, and like the mojitos and everything. We literally lived the brand. I'm talking about 2003 when a bottle of Coke was 5 rupees, a pint of beer was 25 to 30 rupees, and then we were selling Red Bull at 75 rupees.
Hi Jasmeet, welcome to Punjabis Have Depth.
Hi, pleasure being here.
Fantastic having you.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward.
So you're a Bombay-born Punjabi.
Yes.
What kept the Punjabiyat alive in you being in Bombay?
To be honest, it's not actually about me being born in Bombay. My father was also born in Bombay. So we've been here for like literally the grandparents moved here after partition. And that's our story that we've always been in Bombay. And as far as the Punjabi thing is concerned, I would say if you look at Bombay, Bombay is actually a melting pot where, the Marathis, the Gujaratis, the Sindhis, the Punjabis, everybody lives together. Punjabiyat was straight away in how we were sort of, we had our childhood in. So, for example, like for us, we have our entire family here. So weddings, functions, Gurpurabs, Loi celebrations across societies. So, obviously, see, and apart from that, even coming from a very traditional Punjabi family, I would say that, the food talks Punjabi.
Right. So what does Punjabiyat mean to you?
Good question. Punjabi actually is, again, I would say it's not about, culturally representing yourself. It is not about, wearing the dressing. It is not about, the food or anything else. Punjabi is more about, probably surviving in all forms of conditions and environments. So for me, if you actually see, Punjabis overall have had a history of partition, of wars, dislocation, migration. Like, you've seen basically thriving them in all countries across the world. And for me, that is Punjabiyat. Like for the fact that, all the Punjabis that I actually talk about in Bombay today, in Bandra, Juhu, Santa Cruz, Lokhandwala, Sion, the fact that it was always about hum honge kamyab and, we'll probably enjoy the journey that we are doing. So that for me is Punjabiyat, staying in a city like Bombay.
You've grown up in Bombay. You had quite an interesting graduation story as well.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that.
So, that I was an average kid and I did my 11th and 12th from Khalsa College. No obvious reasons for guessing that. But yeah. But post that, I always had that urge of basically getting into business. So, you'll be very surprised to know that I actually did my college from correspondence from Bombay University. I never attended a physical college. And I was actually working, say 9 to 9 in a scrap market in Mumbai, which is at Kurla, where we were in the business of recycling, scrap battery materials and converting that into pure lead. And this was like, I did it with my uncle and, but again, the idea to get there was to basically establish myself faster. And probably at some point of time, the thought process there was like business gets you there. So, I just wanted to get into a business where I could probably establish myself. So I did not go to college. And I went to Kurla and I used to wear my labor uniform there, extracting those scrap battery plates out of, batteries and then, collecting them for the recycling. So it was pretty fun. It was definitely very different.
Did you feel you were different, which is why you did that? Or do you always want to be different?
No, it was actually not about being different. I was very much like, my friends who were in college. But it's just that there was a passion to probably excel faster. And that has been my motivation across, that I always wanted to do more than what I could do. So, and that is what probably kept me to, and the whole idea, the whole trajectory of getting into business during college was actually because of that. So it's not that I was made different and was meant for business. I mean, that was never the case. I'll be very, very honest with you. But the fact that it was more about, like probably establishing myself faster.
I see. And you mentioned to me that business went bust in
Oh,
3
yes.
years and
Yes.
you lost a lot there.
Yes. So, and like imagine, I mean, I'm just giving you a scenario where basically we are talking about a guy who's left college and who's basically gone out and traveled in trains to Latur and Jalgaon and Dhulia and the remotest of the locations that you can ever think of, dealing with government organizations and, the kind of business where, you basically have to get out of your comfort zone. And I actually did that. Unfortunately, we got cheated by one of our most trusted employees, and no qualms in accepting it, but that was actually the truth. And also, like, the market instability was pretty high, and we actually, decided to shut that business down. So there I was, like, 3 years gone, no college, no friends, no parties, and I was just wondering what next.
Absolutely. So you're quite a risk taker in life. And before I get to your story, do you think it's a Punjabi thing? Like Punjabis are risk takers in life and they tend to take a challenge head on without really thinking about the consequences?
No, I don't think so. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
But I would not negate it completely as well.
Okay.
So it sort of comes in our genes as well. That, like, because as I said, this is like a community that you're talking about, which is basically faced the most hardships as far as, like being partitioned or shifting. Like today, look at UK, today, look at US, today, look at Canada. These guys have gone and probably gone in the most extreme conditions and basically established themselves. And they've done a good job there. The fact that even in India, when you actually look at, all the Punjabis staying out of Punjab, core Punjab, I mean, today it is tough to basically establish yourself across. And, so somewhere it sort of comes from my family. Somewhere it comes from my father. The fact that at one point of time, my father was actually doing about 3 businesses. And, and that used to basically amaze me, like, how is it that he has the strength and the focus to basically handle 3 different businesses together? And that sort of, just made it a norm that this is the way life sort of happens. And so, I would, yes, say a little bit risk-taking ability of Punjabi community, yes, because they have been genetically working in a way to sort of adapt to different environments. Then, yes, a little bit from family. And the third most important thing I'd say is that basically it's not actually about the risk. It is about having a bigger ambition, which is sometimes backed with a calculated risk. Okay. So what I would say in the calculated risk is probably you have some knowledge of the topic, you have some research, you exactly identify the gap, and then you sort of take it forward. That's exactly what I've done. So technically, yes, you may call it a risk, I may not call it a risk.
Nice. Coming back, so Wigan and Lay College happened for you after that, and you ended up in UK on the student exchange program.
Yes.
So what's it like living in the UK, studying, and you were also working in UK,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, so about Wigan and Lay, as I said, like by the time I had graduated, my business had gone bust. So obviously it was a situation that, you really had to basically think and plan about the future. And that's why I decided that I'd probably go back to studies and try to fit in a dress that I don't fit into. And it wasn't easy. But I just sort of decided to basically pursue studies, and that's how I entered into the college. I cleared my exams, I studied for the first 3 semesters, got selected for the exchange program, which actually landed up in the UK, and that's where the whole world sort of changed, because I came from a completely different background, and what I actually saw in the UK was obviously very different. The first thing that the UK taught me, honestly, was how to live independently.
Okay.
Is also because of the fact that, we are like sort of raised in a very nice and warm and cozy environment with family and friends and everyone. So UK was like, you work there, you pay your bills there, and, you take care of the household there. And, so obviously the reason for working, because obviously it was survival. I mean, you couldn't just like be on your parents' money there in terms of, like just, so obviously I had to work, and I worked in all kind of fields there. So I worked in a food factory where we were filling jacket potatoes at -4 degrees. And we also worked at petrol stations where we were the top cashiers there. And then we also worked like that. My final stint in the UK was in a company which was in the telecommunication business. And, I enjoyed my stint there. So it was like living life to the fullest. At 23, you're working, you're earning, you're studying, you're taking care of expenses, you're partying, you're with friends. UK was an experience.
How different is it working in the UK versus working in India now that you worked in India for so long?
So the biggest difference between UK and India is, in India, things work on relationships and jugaad, and not in a bad way, in a good way. But there are ways. Like in India, you can call someone at 10 o'clock in the night, even for work, right? And it is okay. You cannot do that in the UK. Unless and until your house is not on fire, you really can't call anyone beyond working hours. So that's one. Second thing is, I would shamelessly say, like I learned some manners and etiquette from the British there and the people that I used to work there, because it's sort of, it's not about actually manners and etiquette, it's more about being professional in the approach that you basically take. Third is obviously punctuality in the UK is wow, and punctuality in India, I don't even want to comment. And so, yeah, these are some of the differences. But as I said, in India, it's more about, how deeply are you rooted in relationships that really matter.
True.
And which is sort of different from the UK.
They say Red Bull gives you wings. It definitely
Yeah.
gave wings to your career.
Red Bull was actually...
How did that opportunity come by?
It's very funny. I was sitting in a friend's house,
Okay.
and she just threw a can of Red Bull, and I was like, wow, Red Bull India mein bhi aa gaya. This is the time that I had just come back from the UK. She's saying, yeah, and she said, why don't you actually apply? They're looking for people, and like through and through her fiance, some connections. We landed up meeting the importers of Red Bull, and he was the exclusive importer in Red Bull, and it just happened. And he's saying, what do you know about Red Bull? I still consider him as my mentor, because he's the one who really taught me my business, and Mr. Rahul Narang himself. And and he just asked me, he's saying, what do you know about Red Bull? And I just went on. I said, like, oh, the sampling girls, the Red Bull vodka promotions and everything, that whatever that I had seen in the UK. And he was pretty impressed. He's saying, oh, perfect, because this is the category which is not sort of established in India. Come, let's work together. And that's how Red Bull happened. It was as random as visiting a friend, and there was no planning, there was no interviews, nothing. It was just that Red Bull had to happen, and I would say, and it just happened.
How hard was it to sell the idea of this fancy energy drink that is so premium, taste it? Selling that to the Indians, how hard was it?
Okay, I'll tell you how hard it was. I'm talking about 2003, when a bottle of Coke was 5 rupees, a pint of beer was 25 to 30 rupees, and then we were selling Red Bull at 75 rupees.
Wow.
So it literally started from there. It was a difficult, the category was not established the way it is today. I mean, people were wondering, like, what the hell is energy drink? And like, I remember sampling to gym owners and like F&B managers, and people literally used to say, ye to cough syrup lag raha. And like, that's the kind of, but we were so determined to basically establish this as a category, to go that extra mile, because we had to set up something which India had never seen before. So obviously your typical traditional ways of sales and marketing would never work. And that is exactly what Red Bull taught me, that like, just go out of the ways, do things very creatively, and get your goal made. So I mean, Red Bull was definitely a great start, that I would say.
And then you worked for Bacardi, Pernod Ricard, Coke. You worked for all the best brands.
Yeah. So
tell me one thing an Alcobev insider would know that you can share on the platform.
There are many things that I would actually share, and there are many things that I would not share. But
please.
So with Bacardi, actually what happens with all these brands that you actually work with. So let's say Bacardi or Pernod or Coca-Cola or any brand that you work with. The brand becomes your personality.
Okay.
I've realized this. I don't know how true it is for others, but at least for me, the brand sort of becomes your personality.
Explain that.
So let's say if it was Bacardi, like, right? Bacardi was more about having a good time, like having, like, it was all about friendship, bonding, and like the mojitos and everything. Correct. We literally lived the brand. I mean, I my relations and my persona in a typical trade outlet would be that, oh, he's the guy who can actually come on board and basically, do stuff for us. He's the guy who can probably come and do some activations, which were very creative. He's the guy who would probably do sponsorships for us. So, like, the kind of relationship that you actually built, and you become brand Bacardi in Bombay. So, like, that was it. Same was the case in Coke, but Coke, I would say, was the biggest and the best experience that I actually have, because through Coke, I actually traveled the length and breadth of this country. Talking about different markets, talking about how people behave, talking about how brands behave, talking about the importance of channels, be it HoReCa or hotels or, modern trade or normal general trade. It teaches you a lot. So this was some of the things that, like, Bacardi was fun. Coke was a lot of experience. Red Bull was amazing. So these were some of the companies that I actually owe it to, and that's what sort of made me what I am today. To basically
Coca-Cola was the dream job, right?
Yeah. I mean, at my time, any MBA student who would come out of college, it would be
Wanted
he
to
would
be
probably
at
give an
Coke.
arm and a leg to probably get in Coke. But so for me,
How did you get into Coke?
oh, very interesting story. Again, a very dear friend of mine, and they were looking for someone who basically understood the Horeca channel very well, who understood energy drinks as a category very well, and obviously I carried the relevant experience with regards to Red Bull, and basically I actually was recruited to buy the Hindustan Coca-Cola beverages to launch an energy drink brand called Burn.
Okay.
So they wanted somebody with who probably had the kind of relevant experience, and that's how Coke happened.
I see.
And for me, as the journey sort of went on, they realized that okay, this is how this channel needs to be actually done, and I basically got elevated to many more brands. I was handling Schweppes, I was handling Minute Maid, I was handling Kinley, so a lot of brands that I was handling on from the trade marketing side. Overall, it was like a dream come true. Yeah.
And Coca-Cola still dominates the Indian market. The Indian
yes.
consumer loves them.
Yes.
Why?
You have to understand Coke for that. See, first of all, Coca-Cola is not some random company. It is a company which is built on legacy, on brands, and it basically customizes itself to every country that it sort of enters. It understands the language of the people in every country that it sort of enters. You're talking about Maza, you're talking about Limca, you're talking about Minute Maid. Some legendary brands that resonate so deeply with us. And obviously, the kind of distribution strength, I do not think any company can even sort of come in beverages can even come close to where Coke is.
True.
And the kind of execution depth that the Coca-Cola company has is phenomenal. So I mean, obviously I don't think there is any reason for it not to do well, and probably some brilliant brands. I mean, look at Thumbs Up today. I mean, it's a story by itself, right?
Correct.
Like you probably would not see success of any other carbonated brand the way that Thumbs Up commands its position today.
In India, yeah.
So it's all thanks to Coke. Coke, they know their business well.
So why does the Indian consumer love Coke?
Coke has an answer for every occasion that you're talking about. I mean, today look at the brands, like there's some phenomenal brands that you have within the Coca-Cola system. You're talking about Thumbs Up, you're talking about Coke, you're talking about Sprite, you're talking about Maza, you're talking about Minute Maid, and there's so many new additions that they're actually doing. So what I feel, every consumer has something from Coke. So my question to you is, why would you not have anything from the Coca-Cola system? Like the Coca-Cola company is so deeply entrenched that there is no reason to ignore them, and you cannot ignore them. Simple as that. And that's my pure answer for that.
So there's all this hoopla around fizzy drinks these days, or they're so sugary and it's not good for health. What is one valid concern that you see there, and what is one overstated concern that you see?
Let me put it as, to answer your question, what's a valid concern? Let's talk about having 3 to 4 bottles of any soft drink every day for 5 years. Yes, your body will take a record of that. But if you have things in moderation, and if you have a healthy lifestyle, I mean, is it then the sugar which is to be blamed? I don't think so. My perspective is not about, okay, what's wrong in a sugar, or what. It's not about what's wrong in the fizz. The carbonation doesn't really hurt you. It is more about how much are you consuming and what is your lifestyle. If you want to tell me that I want to keep a sedentary lifestyle with chips and junk food and the soft drinks day in day out without working out, yes, it is going to harm you. But if you have things in moderation and if you maintain a healthy lifestyle, I think you can have soft drinks for the next 200 years. There's nothing wrong in it.
After Coke, you went on to become the CEO at FAL.
Yes.
Talk about your days at FAL, and you were just 36, right?
Yes, I was just 36. So
Amazing.
FAL was a company which was basically a Saudi-based conglomerate which was headquartered in Sydney, and I was heading the India business for them at about 36. And this was a time when the whole idea of again working with future categories and future projects that basically came into the picture. So we launched a coconut water back then in 2015-16, and we launched juices with maximum fruit content.
Hmm.
And I mean, with FAL, I actually got a global exposure of how things sort of work. And how different markets, because obviously representing India, I met guys who were representing Australia and China and UAE and the US market. So it was like a great learning experience of actually establishing a company. So all my life, I was actually on the front end in business development, trade marketing, and sales. This was the first time that I actually got a reason to basically establish a company, like set up the systems, the kind of operation. So all in all, FAL for me was a great learning experience.
So after doing all this, you went into the sugarcane business. You launched cane
Yes.
juicery and you got
Yes.
into sugarcane juice retailing.
Yes. You'll be very surprised to know sugarcane is one of the highest selling beverages in India.
Okay.
I mean, more in the unorganized market, but nevertheless, all of us have actually grown with sugarcane juice.
True.
It was the one beverage that you probably used to come back from school or on a
Yes.
hot summer shopping trip, and like
I
sugarcane.
have my memories of it.
Absolutely. So sugarcane was everything. Unfortunately, what happened, like the reason people started leaving sugarcane juice because it was more about the way that it was actually served.
Okay.
The hygiene levels were not proper.
True.
It was not the most attractive,
Correct.
kind of a scenario at a sugarcane juice stall. And, so we just wanted to elevate the whole experience because we sort of know that sugarcane on its own is one of the most healthy and helpful beverage. And obviously we wanted to fortify it more with superfood. So we went ahead and we actually created our own system, which was a retail format where we used to have a shop and shop kind of setup across, all the big brands in India. Talk about Food Hall at that time and Nature's Basket at that time, Modern Bazaar, Namdari's, Nilgiri's, you name the top chains of Bombay, and we were there, where we were actually selling sugarcane juice in the most hygienic conditions. One, we had elevated the sugarcane juice format to adding superfoods like activated charcoal and matcha and turmeric and you name it, and we had about 13 to 15 variants of sugarcane juice that were never seen before.
Nice.
So that was something that we just felt that justice was not done to sugarcane, and why not?
Do you think the Indian consumer is now moving away to low sugar drinks, moving away from
Yes.
these high sugar drinks?
Yes, it is a trend which is lately been seen, especially in Gen Z, I would say. They're very cautious about, what they actually consume, and they want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And they are the guys who are actually even, getting away from alcohol and cigarettes, I would say. And overall, we are seeing a change towards healthier foods across categories, I would say. So obviously, yes, beverages with low sugar, zero sugar, they are seeing a kind of traction now lately in terms of as how people want to consume beverages, and people are very particular about what they actually consume. So yes, there is a very, very positive change towards going toward lower calories, 50% less, 75% less, 100% less sugar, and all these beverages.
Aloha. Why?
Aloha.
Why Aloha?
Aloha actually means something similar to a hi in Hawaiian language.
Okay.
It is a very sweet, beautiful, tropical name that we were lucky enough to basically have. And Aloha is something completely different. Aloha is basically creating a space for ourselves in this massive carbonated market, where we basically stand for flavors and fusions that have never been seen before.
Okay.
So today, when you think Aloha, what I want you to think is about something which is lower in calories, lower in sugar, available in flavors that you've never seen before, something that you can have it when you're thirsty, something that you can have it with your meals, something that you can have it as a mixer, or even a mocktail if you're a teetotaler. So we just wanted to create something which sort of caters to all occasions, talking the language that consumers want to listen. And that's why Aloha, that we feel that we've sort of catering a gap which sort of still exists in the market.
So what is Aloha? How is it different from my regular Cokes, Pepsi?
So as I said, Aloha is an elevated version of the carbonates that you're used to drinking.
Okay.
Aloha is more about flavors that you've never experienced before. Aloha is about lower calories and lower sugar. Aloha is about probably giving you the choice to choose your flavor rather than forcing something from one brand. Aloha is about choosing your occasion. where you can say, okay, today I am thirsty, I want a pudina masala. Okay, today I'm probably having a gin and I want a watermelon lime. Or I want something to pair it with my pasta, which can be a peach. Or so we just wanted to create something which was different. And actually, if you see our packaging and if you see our look and if you actually see our product and taste our product, most importantly, you would probably see that we are completely different from what has been offered so far.
You've chosen to enter such a hyper competitive segment. It's a mature segment.
Yes.
The market is there. Consumers have preferences. How do you intend to survive in such an intensely competitive market?
So there is a plus and minus to everything, right? You're right when you say that it is highly competitive, the GST slabs are high, everything is great. No worries about that. But that actually makes us a market. Point number one. Point number two is something that when you clearly identify a gap in the market, like a white space that I would say that has never been catered to, it is easier for you to utilize the infrastructure created by the biggies. So it's not about competing with the biggies, to be very honest, because the fact that I do not have anything in my portfolio that sort of matches with them. But it is about actually banking on the infrastructure created by the biggies to sort of enter and make your thing go faster. So for my thing is like, yes, it is competitive in a way, but if you are clear about what you want and what do you want to offer, it becomes easier. So I don't see that as like a hindrance or a factor that can be go work against me. In fact, I just feel that the acceptance of carbonated soft drinks in India is so high that it's sort of easier for me to actually sell without actually teaching anyone as to what exactly it is.
You've taken so many risks in your career. You're like a crazy risk taker that way. What's the biggest lesson you've learned on this journey so far?
So for me, taking risks just has two outcomes.
Okay.
It's either you win or you learn.
Okay.
When I say learn, people may perceive it as a failure. The way that I look at it is like either I have a better way of doing it or probably it is not meant for me. So for me, it's actually not about taking risk. It is again linked to the kind of ambition that you want to build, where you want to create a mark. Things can go your way, things do not go your way. It's how you come out of it. So I would not call it a risk again, but I would say that, okay, we did something new, we learned, and now we are more equipped to take the next big thing.
You mentioned your aim in life is to give back and to uplift. Are you already on that path? And when did this spark kind of ignite in you?
Actually, when you look back at things and when you start from scratch, somebody somewhere would have taken you up. Not in true sense, but probably either through your job or somebody would have trusted you with whatever you brought to the table to probably take you to the next step. When somebody else could do that with you, what stops you from doing it to somebody else?
Definitely.
That's point number one. And somewhere in Sikhism also, I mean, I'm not that I'm very religious, but the fact that two things that I actually feel are really true, that humanity is the biggest thing and you have to accept everyone equally, and then that is the first thing that Sikhism teaches us. I mean, is there the second thing is also about giving back to the society. So I would not say that I'm a philanthropist or probably I do some kind of charities, but the way that if I have the ability to teach someone some skill, I would want to do that. That's my way of giving it back to the society, and that's what I try to do. Again, I'm not saying that I've been doing it consistently, but that's where I actually want to give back and teach someone or equip someone so that they can probably do something for the future. That's what I strongly believe.
What does it do for you personally?
It just makes me happy. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think about, and it's not just about, thinking like what will it do for me, but it is actually about pure happiness. That I just feel nice about it. I don't know what the consequences are. Probably the guy may not even understand what I'm saying, or sometimes they may, learn it and they may take it to the next level. But for me at that stage, I'm just happy and I like doing it. So, given a choice, sometimes I just feel that if I was not in this profession, I would probably be a teacher. So, I like doing that. So that makes me happy.
So you've come a long way from scrap dealer to Red
Oh,
Bull
yes.
to Bacardi, Pernod Ricard, Coke, Aloha now.
Yes.
What's the one big lesson for all the young dreamers out there starting out? What would you like to tell them?
My only lesson for any youngster would be there is never going to be a perfect time.
Okay.
You have to start. You first start. Things will fall in place. Never think that, oh, I'm gonna get that perfect time, that perfect scenario, that perfect product, and things are gonna fall in place. That is never going to happen. So, my thing is start before you are ready. That's my only lesson. Start. And then the market, the world will teach you, the universe will teach you what is your path, but you have to start. So that's my only lesson that I would tell everyone. Never get scared. Just start. Let's see what it goes in place and you will find a way out.
And how to deal with setbacks.
Setbacks is more about probably not sulking. Setback is actually more about thinking what next. So the thing is, if you take setback as your failure, you'll probably sulk for the next 3, 5, 7 years. Instead, I would probably think about, okay, this has been a setback. How can I make the next chapter better? So setback is actually about starting again.
Okay.
That is the way that I look at it. If you actually look at my journey, I've more or less been with startups across. So, like some of the startups do well, some of the startups do okay, some of them don't do well at all. But nevertheless, the fact that it never stops you, right? So, a setback is just a transaction which is over and you move on to the next transaction.
What has been your success mantra in this journey so far?
My success mantra would be that first, trust in God. Okay? He sent you, He will nourish you, and He'll take care of you. So I'm a staunch believer of that, and trust me, that has worked. Second thing, anything that you do, have conviction. If you are not convinced or if you are not into it, do not do it. Okay? That, I think, if you've done that, half of the battle is won.
Wow.
That's my mantra, and I just live by that.
Any parting message for everyone watching you out there?
My parting message would be very simple: is like, if this is shant and if this is happy, that is success. There is no measure of measuring success. There is no unit of measuring success. You may be very happy with a 10 crore kitty. You may be very happy with a 500 crore kitty. You may be very happy with a 1,000 crore kitty. But for me, more than that, it is about that peace and that shanti. If you have here, I think that is success. Have a good time with your own relatives, with your family. Have a good time with your friends. Think about yourself. Love yourself. Don't overstretch yourself. But for me, if you are happy, you are successful.
Fantastic. What a brilliant note to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Jasmeet.
much, buddy.
This has been amazing.
It's been absolutely a pleasure being here.